This is Jordan Tower with JT News. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Let's get right into the news. Well, Quan, I'm seeing this pop up again. Quan, we heard about this a long time ago. Quan used to be signed to Nas. He had a song called Just a Moment, an amazing song. I think it was on Street's Disciple. Really good song, really hip hop and really just deep. And we never heard from Quan again, really. And then we heard a lot about, I think Quan actually got raided at one point, went to jail, came home, glad he's home. But he had a lot of things to say about Nas, that Nas left him and Nas this. And, at the time I was like, that could be kind of dirty because Nas was having trouble business-wise, like, signing people and nothing really happened after a while. So, around this time, I was like, kind of like, I wonder what's going on there. But when you think when I really watch a lot of his interviews, and I the only thing that reminded me of is I saw he did an interview with somebody recently. I didn't check it out. All I got to do was go to the other times he talked about this, and he complains about Nas kind of not wanting like 7 albums from him. Then he also wanted 50% of his publishing, which happens to a lot of people. And he charged $50K per feature on the album. Now, this is the music business, and if Nas did a deal with him on Def Jam or Interscope, whatever his label was called at the time, I think it was still called Ill Will, right? Because he changed his Mass Appeal now, but he had Ill Will, and it was Ill Will / something. Now, on that, he would sign Quan to the label. Now, Nas wouldn't just give free features because the label would be benefiting, mostly, Interscope or whoever he signed with, right? So you're going to want to get paid because your features are selling the project, okay? So he's going to want at least, he probably charged more than $50K a feature before, but if he was going to do a bunch of features, he'd want $50K per feature. So if you have them on two Nas, 100,000. You got to pay for features. That's just how it is, especially on major labels. You're going to get paid. And then 50% of his publishing, that could be renegotiated after their successful first album. That was kind of the standard back in the day, and Nas probably had it done to him at one point, and he, you do what you're taught. I'm sure today Nas has a different perspective, but, back then, people were just mimicking what labels were doing. I mean, this is around, 07, 08? Around that time? Quan shouldn't feel bad. He kind of lost momentum when he went away to jail, and he's still not too late. Get back to it. Quan is really talented, honestly. I think he made his own beats, too. But it was kind of feature. And back then, I think Nas was at least $200,000 a feature, so he gave him a discount. Gave him half off at least, because half of it would have came from Ill Will, right? It was probably a 50-50 venture. The first deal's always a bad deal. But, and everything could be renegotiated after you have a successful first album. I don't know, man. And then it reminded me of a time when Nas came out with an album called Hip Hop is Dead. Now, around this time, a lot of people took offense to that, especially down south, because the South was on the rise around 2005, 6, and 7. They were getting super, super big. They were taking over. Obviously, they've fully taken over now, but they were taking over. And a lot of northern rappers in the North felt threatened by that. Now, some rappers like Fat Joe and Fabulous are already working with Southern artists, but some artists, and Jadakiss too, but some artists didn't like it. And Jeezy had something to say about that. He said, how was hip-hop dead when we're still making money out here? Hip-hop just changed. And Nas was right in the sense that one part of hip-hop was dead where, the elements of hip-hop, breaking, DJing, MCing, graffiti, that part of hip-hop was dead. And the heart of hip-hop was dead. Like in the 90s. A lot of people were doing it out of the heart. There wasn't a ton of money in the 90s, right? 80s and 90s. There was money, but it wasn't like now. Around that time, around 05, more people were doing it for money. Nas didn't like the DVD era where all the people were, showing weapons and showing like the streets in hip hop. It became mostly the streets in hip hop. But Nas shouldn't have been so mad at that because that's what made hip hop go to another level in the 90s. Okay. When Nas came around, you had Rakim and Eric B that kind of ushered in Nas, and we're talking more about the streets. And you had a Mobb Deep, and then like street hip hop started in the streets, and then like more people that were emulating what was happening in the streets, it got bigger in the 90s, then, later on you had your 50 Cents, you just have a whole ton, even Fat Joe, you could say, and Big Pun, like this is what came out of that. Then you get the Southern rappers, you get Jeezy and everything, and now Jeezy is nice. It's just that, and Nas was clear, he wasn't talking about Jeezy. Of course, they settled that. They did a song in 2008, like a year later. They squashed it. But Lil Wayne and Nas really went back and forth on that. There were certain songs where they're taking little snippets at each other because Lil Wayne was on top at that time. So he kind of took offense to it because he was the top rapper. And if you're saying hip hop is dead, you're not respecting that craft. A lot of people took offense to this. Jeezy, Lil Wayne, they took offense to this because it was just crazy. It was crazy, man. It was that Nas didn't like the way hip hop was changing, and the people on top. Nas is like a legend, and you want his respect. But they didn't feel like they were getting it. They feel like they were getting snubbed, so they took a different stance. And I don't blame them, But, as we know, hip-hop evolved again and again and again until where we are now. So you got your good stuff. And Nas just did an album. He puts the people he respects on the album. But besides that, you don't have to listen to everything. You got to pick and choose what you want. Lil Wayne, Back in the Lab, dropped another classic, Dedication 2, within 5 months span. Lil Wayne around this time also was out to prove he was the best rapper alive. And he was dropping a lot of music around this time. But anyways, 2008 was gearing up for the Big Zone date. He's not worried. Weezy's still the best rapper alive. He had little. I'm trying to find out I'm trying to find exactly what he says. You don't have to pick me to win the fight, but I'm gonna wear the championship belt so tight. Yeah, he had little like snippets here and there. I remember him talking about it on the radio once, but you can't find that Lil Wayne interview anymore. He said, "How is hip hop dead when I'm making this and this?" And Lil Wayne's nice, man. Lil Wayne's nice. Anyways, doesn't matter. Blasphemy, ridiculous, a wasted article. Lil Wayne will never even come close to Nas. See, some people take this really personally. Lil Wayne's just different. Yeah, he's not going to be like Nas. He's going to be Lil Wayne, He's a down south lyricist. It's different. That's all. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys and I hope you guys are having a great start to your day. I'm putting this up a little late, but we'll have another part of the Sheik Luge one today, and then to finish that off, and then we'll get into some other exclusives I have with like Prodigy and some other stuff. Anyways, guys, this is Jordan Tower with JT News. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are staying positive today. Stay consistent. Keep bad energy away from you, and realize that life comes one step at a time. I mean, life is hard, man. And we got this week's going to be a difficult week. Try not to let this really bother you this week. What's going to happen is going to happen at this point, And we all have different views on everything that's happening. Here's a good tip I saw earlier. If you invest $25 a week every week, that's $1,300 a year. You can put that into an ETF, and this is possible. We can talk about this more in depth later, but you can invest it into a type of fund that mirrors the S&P of the stock market, S&P 500, and it averages a high return. So over the course of 10 to 50 years, that money will turn into about $22,000 after 10 years, 30 years, $250,000, and 50 years, $1.6 million. That's you gotta start saving for later and think for later and make moves for later. That is very important. I gotta think about that kind of stuff too. But mainly, you just got to get there. You got to get to making making money. So you got to stay consistent and stay positive and stay focused and start sacrificing things that you enjoy to get extra work done so you can get to your goals. That's very important. Anyways, guys, I saw this. You want to read? Let's read this list real quick too. Be more effective when you work. I keep this in my notebook. Turn off your phone when you're working. Make to-do lists. You're gonna have complete focus with your phone off. Don't do more than one task at a time. I always try to do that too, and it messes me up. Have a routine. That's what I'm lacking right now. Make your office inspiring. I definitely did that. You got to make your office or wherever you work, whatever workspace you have, it has to be nice. It has to be somewhere you want to be. Wake up an hour or two before you want to work. That's always good. I try to do that. Get your coffee in, think, meditate, all that kind of stuff. Thinking is meditating. Eliminate the non-essential. Break tasks into chunks. Okay, whatever. Focus on the outcome. That stuff. Plan ahead. That's important. Have a to-do list. Have goals and tasks. You might not complete them all, but at least you're trying. And measure in results, not time. Let's see. Track your time spent. Practice 80-20 rule. Okay, whatever. Anyways, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day today. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button. This is Jordan Tower, JT News, and I'll check you guys in the next one.